I, in fact, believe the Act Man to be a raging, hypocritical, attention-loving, view-hungry husk of what he tries to portray himself as.
That's a little dense, brother.
This is honestly an amazing foundation to talk about the issue of wokeness in video games.
Maybe Act Man isn't the person you go to for an essay on wokeness.
Are your mother and father still together?
Once you're referencing Gypsy Crusader, someone who's like a legitimate white supremacist, I'm probably not going to care too much about what you have to say.
He decided to completely ignore this entire conversation and just make fun of Az from HeelvsBabyface Pronouns for sounding too angry when he ranted about the subject.
Well, yeah, because he's a f***ing loser. I hope that this kid gets the therapy appointment for him getting by this HeelvsBabyface guy. This is clearly a child, and he's got this guy's like 10 feet up his asshole right now. Basically, this video was, hey, do you guys remember last year when he made a mistake about Payday 3? Well, he also said pronouns are not cringe. Let's get this party started. It's my tagline now, guys. Anyway, this video just looks interesting. It's called The Act Man and Acting Ma'am. It's just stupid. From Enclave Emily?
The follow
I guess it's a girl. I don't know. So I'm just kind of curious about it. Let's see what we got here. Maybe there's some real criticisms. I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm not a huge Act Man fan. I'm not like an anti-fan. I've seen him a couple times. His conversation with that one weirdo 41-year-old anti-woke person was pretty good. Outside of that, I think he just does some gaming content that, like, it's just not for me. So maybe he's a little cringe. I don't know. Same. Also Papa Gut cringe, but not really. We're perfect. So let's just get it going.
dirt. It's a real sign of poverty when... Did you know that there are people out there that consume mud and dirt? It's a real sign of poverty when...
That's what we do, baby. That's all the content we look at is mud and dirt, baby.
You have to resort to sub-slop consumption. Anyway, let's talk about the Act Man.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I
haven't seen that classic banger in a while.
must stress that I don't hate this guy for who he is as a person. I do think that some of his videos are good. I also don't think that you're bad for enjoying his content. Much like with...
Thanks, man. I don't care, personally, but I'm sure some people felt really good when they heard you say that.
You are not wrong if you enjoy what he puts out. However, I don't like lies, and I don't think the Act Man is a good YouTuber. I, in fact, believe the Act Man to be a raging, hypocritical, attention-loving, view-hungry husk of what he tries to portray himself as.
Jesus. That's a little dense, brother. Holy fuck.
His videos, despite occasionally being a diamond in the rough, are mostly very, very rough. That is to say, they're sloppy shit that reveal who this guy is and that his priorities are far, far from what he would like you to...
There's a tall claim, brother. Hopefully you can put some eyes on those T's. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying, but I decided to change it. Because I'm a revolutionary, guys, just like Act Man.
Believe they are. Now, I don't expect people to know everything, so let's set the stage briefly and establish who the Act Man is. The Act Man is, or should I say was, back when he was smaller, just a regular guy who enjoyed video games and making content on the things he likes.
Yep, and then you just start spiraling. You know what I mean, guys? The wokeness takes you and owns you. Nah, I mean, like, realistically speaking, I think a lot of content creators end up, to some degree, maybe watering themselves down, whether it's intentional or not. Out of potentially some kind of a fear of backlash from whatever community they're afraid of, and it depends because there's a bunch of annoying fucks on both sides, so it could be anything really. We don't know.
I think, or at least would like to think, that he still believes himself to be this to some degree. Hell, some people who still watch it.
Yeah, so it's also hard to be like a normal person probably if you make a lot of money. To be real, like, you know, back then you're like, oh, I'm a relatable normal dude, and then you start making tons of fucking money, and all of a sudden you just kind of forget what it's like to be fucking normal and relatable.
Or those who find his channel right now will probably have this exact impression of him. He does what you'd expect a modern gaming YouTuber to typically do. Reviews, gaming-themed commentary videos, and the occasional roast, making sure to be as easy as digest and appealing to as many people as possible. Because
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with necessarily, you know, trying to make sure your content is accessible to a lot of people.
That's not gonna come back to bite him in the ass at all.
Depends on how you do it, you know what I mean? If you tone down your language a little bit, but you're honest about your shit, nothing wrong with that. But if you're like a dishonest person, then like, yeah, sure, that could bite you in the ass.
Sure. So yeah, at over 1 million subscribers, he's a successful gaming YouTuber on the surface.
Whoa, guys, am I a successful gaming YouTuber?
On the surface.
Is he bad? Why would he only be, is he unsuccessful or?
On the surface. Because when you dig a little deeper, the Act Man, well...
Act centrist. Ooh, we got the centrist slur going. I wonder if this guy's a lefty or girl. I don't know. They're called Emily, so you know who knows anymore. Yeah, man. Really quick, centrism. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It depends on what it means. It's okay to be like a little in the middle on some topics, but you know, the true negative of the centrist argument comes at when you're somebody who like both sides every argument in like such a weird way. You know, like if you're like both sidesing, like, oh yeah, you know, I think gay people should get married, but like I also understand why this conservative might want them to literally not exist. You know what I mean? Like that's where you get into, you know, the more like safe haven centrism is what you call it, where you're just trying to fence it because you're afraid of backlash, right? That's the real issue with like when people are potentially centrist. It's that we'll call it safe haven centrism, baby. That's more of the issue. So
I believe it would be really unfair if I didn't preface my next section without going over some mentions of the positives he has in his favor. However, and this is without intending to poison the well or anything, you'll notice a pattern or two with a lot of what I'm about to say, because it builds into and then upon how I described them in the previous section. Leave a 100 emoji in the comments if you notice a pattern before I say it. Again, I don't want to poison the well here, but get ready because this foundation is gonna burn down.
Man, we got the debate terms, dude. They might actually be a weird debate freak.
Faster than an expensive Nike.
I mean, we're either gonna. This is the problem with these debaters. You're either gonna get like actually a really good point that you never would have expected, or you're going to get somebody who doesn't understand that some content's not for them, and them on. So they decide to make like an entire video about it.
Shoe store during a social justice demonstration. Let's go. The
Let's
man,
go.
for all his faults, does have a history of mentioning and occasionally actually discussing bad practices in gaming. After all, his image is that of just being some guy who likes video games and cares about their quality and how gamers are treated. Loot boxes, season passes, microtransactions, defenses of corporate greed.
Yeah.
He's talked about
I don't mind microtransactions as long as they're only like cosmetic. Generally, I don't really care.
all of them in the past to some extent. Recently, the Man made a video talking about why gamers are mad about the Nintendo Switch 2, in which he spends a minority of the video.
Well, isn't the reason I see? I'm gonna be fucking real with you. I'm not really a gamer. I play games. I know I'm gaming right now. I do this to pass the time. Not really a gamer. I'm gonna be getting a Switch 2 on like Wednesday. I don't really know or understand the depth of the problem. Probably should care more. My understanding is like you don't own the games anymore. You want a license to the games. That's probably not good, but I'm also not like, oh man, like at the end of the day, I'm not super worried about it right now. Although it is probably a concern for the future, but I'm not like super ingrained in gaming culture, you know? So I'm just being honest with you, but I think that's the biggest issue, right?
Talking about why gamers are mad about the Nintendo Switch 2, he makes a brief reference to the price of games going from a standard of $70 to $90 after 15 years at $60 and
Well, I feel like that's not so bad. Is it? Because I look on Costco. Like, I think $70 for the game. That's what I saw. I mean, I'm getting the bundle, so I'm getting the Switch and the Mario Kart for $500. But then I'm trying to look at my Costco thing, and it looks like everything's like $60 or $70. You know, I don't know. Isn't that what it is? Or maybe that's because it's on Costco. Oh, fuck off. God damn it. Maybe it's because it's on Costco. Yeah, so it says $63 for Donkey Kong Bonanza on Switch 2, $70 for a digital copy of Mario Kart World, $70 for. But again, this is on Costco, so maybe they have it for cheaper. I mean, $90 is crazy if that's true. Is that really what they're? That's a big increase. I can understand like a little increase, but also like I understand why video games are getting more expensive. I mean, they've kind of have an increase proportionate to inflation, but then again it's easier to produce them. Yeah, $80 on it's $80 for Mario Kart Worlds on Target. I feel like that's not that bad, is it? I don't know. You know, maybe you know, I guess maybe I'm too empathetic to them. I just feel like I understand like an increase in general. I will say though, it seems like what's left to innovate. You know, that's like, oh, we're gonna, you know, do all the like what the fuck is left? You know, what's the Switch 2 even? A little bit more powerful? Was this as powerful as like a PlayStation fucking 4? You know? That's where I'm saying. Like, we really have no innovation left to be made in a meaningful capacity other than like going into VR. So new systems at this point seem like it's almost like a fucking entirely irrelevant. But maybe it just seems like, what the fuck are they really doing? I mean, at what point are we not even going to be able to perceive like the potential, increases in quality, because our eyes can only perceive so much.
Reads a small Reddit comment addressing the defense using inflation to justify the price hike.
Well, that does kind of make sense. I mean, inflation does exist. I mean, when a video game, video games like 50 or 60 bucks. I think they were like $50 back when I was like 10 years old. N64 games used to be $60. So, I mean, what's that? When was the N64 relevant? I was like fucking 10. Yeah, so based on inflation, I mean, the N64 came out in 1996. It's $124, almost $125 for games now. The argument against it would be like, hey, you have better technologies that make it easier to make games and blah, blah, blah. And that's a fine argument to me. Maybe he'll make those arguments. But it makes sense that they'd want to increase the price. I think the bigger problem is that things are so expensive when it comes to like mostly your fucking housing and healthcare. We're not getting into like a whole conversation here, but I'm just saying. And so now people have like less money for fun stuff, and so like it's frustrating that it costs more for them because they're paying more for housing. I think back then you'd pay like 20% of your paycheck for a house. So if you made $50,000 a year, you're paying $10,000 a year. So like, let's say, what would you pay, like $800 a month? Nowadays, you're paying like at least $2,000 plus, on your, that's like fucking half your goddamn paycheck. So maybe that's where people's frustrations are a little misplaced at the gaming industry. I don't know, but maybe he'll make a good argument.
Okay, no mention of the fact that the cost of old games was primarily due to a smaller market, no mention of the production costs being astronomically higher given that every game copy was essentially a unique SD card, something which, by the way, is way more complex than copying some files to a Blu-ray disc, by the way. No mention of the modern bloat in developer teams that spend longer making every texture hyper-realistic than designing a good game. No!
Well, so all those points were great, except for the last one where he's like, oh, they're spending too much time trying to make sure the textures look good. It's like, okay, you had me on, I don't even know what he's talking about. He had me on the cartridges were unique SD cards. That sounds intelligent. I have no fucking idea. You lost me on the developers taking too much time to make the textures look good. Because textures is really where the game's going to shine. The models are, in my opinion, less important than the textures, and the lighting. That's what's going to make the game pop. But, I mean, sure, that's fair. But, like, I don't know what the one-to-one realization would be. So, again, I could understand an increase in prices every once in a while. It would be nice if it wasn't $10. Or are they saying $90? I don't see 90. I see 80. But, is part of that because of the tariffs at the time were pretty crazy, or what?
Oh, a small Reddit comment comparing house prices and median household income in the 90s to today. Okay, that's his responsibility done as far as he gives a shit. Let's talk about how much
Well, I mean, it kind of well, no, you know what? He should have, if Ackman didn't go into depth, he should have probably went more into depth on those points. Because those are like gamer points, right? So like you think he'd be like, yeah, you know what? There's so many different factors, and I don't know if it's fair, blah blah blah. If he didn't go over them at all, he could have brought them up and be like, yeah, I understand that this, that, and the other thing. I still think it's justifiable to raise prices. I mean, I guess it's a partially decent criticism. Oh, okay, I see. So it's gonna be $80 for digital copies, which I think is fine. But then $90 for physical copies. I don't understand. Like, why? It seems to me like they're trying to decentivize you from wanting to have physical copies. It's weird to me that they don't want you to have physical copies of games anymore. Because it seems like they're just offering it for $90 to try to price you out of wanting to buy them. Because for some reason they want to get gaming in a weird spot where like you don't actually own your games. That's not true though. This is what I'm reading. Is this wrong? Is it wrong that it's going to be $80? Because they can take back digital copies. Yeah, but don't these games, don't they lock a lot of games too behind some like weird bullshit, so even single player games can be taken off the market at any time? Interesting. Yeah, okay.
P.S. the Switch 2 can reach, right? Another example of a positive in his favor would be his politics in video games video. I promise I'll be brief here. In this video, he correctly points out the ridiculousness of the idea that every game is political, bringing up the notable example of Tetris, a game originating in...
Whoa, true. I mean, now games are a little deeper than that, but sure, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't think every game's political. Like, God of War wasn't really political. I didn't think that the Ghost of Tsushima we just played that's political. Certainly, this game doesn't seem to be political, so...
Soviet Russia that is about as apolitical as anything can get. Later on in the video, he contrasts the political tone of Bioshock and Dragon Age Veilguard, the latter of which, as he says, is so blatant that it effectively serves as a way to educate the player on the political point of the writers, a scathing condemnation of wokeness and diversity politics in video games.
Whoa.
You know, a really good point in a video of really good points, Act Man. This is honestly an amazing foundation to talk about the issue of wokeness in video games, and I would love it if you addressed the root cause of the problem. Wait, we're moving on. No. All right, another good segment. That's really
So I don't. I'm not understanding the point. He brought up that some games have a narrative and maybe they're anti-woke. Are they? Okay.
well made. Let's address the subject. God damn it! Can you please actually address the cause of the problem or explain the logic behind the issue instead of just?
Well, what's the cause of the problem? Of like woke? I mean, like there's just they think that they can make money making stuff that's, I guess you'd say, woke. So they try to make money in different markets of people. I personally don't think that like wokeness in video games is like a real issue. I don't care if the game is like a cringe because it's too gay or whatever you think. Just don't purchase the game. Like, there's more games available to more different types of people. That's pretty much it. That's the way that I perceive it. So I'm not really super concerned. Like, oh, this game's woke. Oh, okay, don't buy it. You know, like, it's not for you. Maybe there's some fucking LGBTQ person that really likes it. I don't have to like everything. There's plenty of games that are not quote-unquote woke, so...
listing common examples. For fuck's sake, this is a problem I have with many of the Actman's better videos. Just to clarify, he could disagree with me at every turn. That's not the problem here. The problem is that even in the videos where he is objectively correct, it's just because he limits himself to talking about obvious examples and little else. The pattern, for those of you paying attention, is that he always sticks to talking about things on a surface level in order to be as easy to digest for regular consumers and little else. On the surface, this might be fine.
I mean, maybe. Or maybe he just doesn't want to get super deep into it. Maybe Actman isn't the person you go to for a massively in-depth, you know, essay on wokeness. Like, I don't know. Is that what he's for? He seems like a gamer that is about as politically educated on politics as most other people are in, like, Trump's America, where people are a little more engaged because, like, truthfully, shit's fucking weird. Like, we have kind of like a political spectacle going on right now, so more people feel more inclined to get into politics and, like, you know, talk about them. So it's probably just that. But is there really a lot going on here? Or?
And it might even sound fine to you in general until you realize that the direct effect that this has on his videos is that, as lengthy as they might be, they end up being little more than summaries of the what, but never of the why. This isn't because he wants to be as easily digestible as possible necessarily. It's because he wants to remain inoffensive. To be, if you will, the enlightened centrist. And this...
maybe... Is that it? Is he want to be as inoffensive as possible? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't. Maybe he just doesn't want to get super into it because he's not that interested in, like, getting into a super big political conversation. I don't know that these are, like, the most robust, like, arguments that I would ever engage with. Like, okay, I don't know. It just sounds like you want him to do more than he's capable of or wants to.
Dear viewer, this attempt to seem as digestible, inoffensive, topically centrist doesn't so much open up a crack in a net as it does open up a big fucking chasm for him to dive into. And this is because every time someone tries to portray themselves as an enlightened centrist and to be wildly appealing while retaining the facade of having an opinion, it leads only to a descent down a path that's nearly impossible to climb out of with any integrity remaining. A miserable path that begins with...
act shill.
Why does the act
shill, huh? Okay.
man unironically defend games from companies that embody everything he claims to be against? No, really, why? Regardless of how deep into the discussion on the state of the gaming industry you are, there are some things that everyone in gaming already knows. Everybody knows that EA will put out a Sports Gamer 10 every year that barely changed from the previous one.
And people still buy it, so... You know what I mean? Like, that seems to be what they want. I don't know. I don't like sports games, so I don't buy them.
Everybody knows that mobile games are hubs for advertisement, and everybody knows, or rather everyone should know, that modern Call of Duty experience is something along the lines of that. It may seem shocking to
so stop buying it. I don't know. Like, if you don't like it, just don't buy it. Like, that's not good, but like, I just like, I don't really care about the criticism of like, oh, this game is just recycled without garbage. So stop purchasing it. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, don't play the game. Like, I don't know. I tend to stay away from those types of games. I also don't tend to just play like so many video games all the time that I have, like, I'm trying to desperately like grab at slop games. I'm like, you know, for me, I feel like maybe some of the problem is that you guys play so many fucking video games that maybe you're running out of a library of games that are necessarily for you, or maybe you're just anxious about playing new games and you're not giving yourself time to adjust to something that's out of your comfort zone. I don't know, because for me, I know that like when I play every new game, it takes me like 2 fucking hours just to start feeling comfortable with the game. That's just for me personally. So like, I fucking hated Ghost of Tsushima for 2 fucking hours, and then it was like the best game I played this year. You know, so it just takes a while. I wonder how much that is. I mean, I'm sure there are valid criticisms, but you know, people are just sitting on nostalgia so hard that they're like, go play a fucking indie game. Go take a risk. Go play a game. Go buy a fucking cheaper indie game that might be, you know, have a little more heart and soul in it than continuously buying, you know, Call of Duty fucking 17. You know what I mean? I don't know.
People who haven't played a Call of Duty game in the last
because yeah, the people talk about Expedition 33. They keep talking about that game. Apparently, there's still good games left to be made. So
fucking long enough. But Call of Duty, in case you aren't aware, has gone down the rabbit hole that everyone could see was going down since at least COD Black Ops 3.
Yeah, because it's a fucking they're being the IP to a fucking to death because they want to make money on it. Like, I mean, it's either that or they just stop making Call of Duties and they move on to something else, which is fine. So just go move on to something else. Like, that's the problem with games like that. Or in general, any game, any TV, any movie, you want to do so much of it before you're beating a dead horse. So it's like people, but they're comfortable with this Call of Duty IP. So instead of playing something else that could be more entertaining, they continuously engage in like Call of Duty because they like Call of Duty. Something's out there is probably better, but they're uncomfortable. They don't want to play something new because they're fucking afraid it won't be good. And they got... You know, I don't know, blame the consumer a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, sure, there's modified movement mechanics and prettier lighting techniques, but there's barely any changes to the loop except for that time they changed engines, and, of course, promising everything from here to the sun only to charge you 3 kidneys and a half for a skin. Skins which have more effort put into them than the last 3 entries of the Call of Duty franchise combined. Black Ops 6, yes, Black Ops 6, has, unironically, skins that cost more than the last 4 games I've bought combined.
Who cares? It's a skin. Who gives a fuck? Honestly, who cares if skins cost a lot of money? If it doesn't affect the playability of the game, I don't really care that it's expensive.
And guess what? It's still basically the same shit you bought last time. What I'm trying to get...
So stop, don't buy it.
Get at here is that Call of Duty has a very, very long track record of being barely different from the last, while nickel and diming their players at every turn on top of already having a high cost of entry. What does the Act Man do, you wonder? Black Ops 6 is too good to be true.
Alright, did he like it? Was it actually good?
Treyarch is cooking with Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 campaign traumatized me. Wow, man, you know, I can't think...
Was the campaign good? I don't know. Was the game bad? I don't play it. Black Ops 6 has a good campaign, though. The post-launch is very mid. Okay, so maybe he liked the campaign. Are we saying that he got paid from them, and so he's selling out? Or maybe he actually enjoyed it. And he's disconnected because he has more money now, so money's not a factor to him, and so that's not something that like that weighs in on his decisions, which is very possible. Like maybe the biggest problem is that Actman is rich now, and so like him spending $100 on something is irrelevant to him. He could pay for a $500 skin and just like fucking jerk himself off and not care. It means nothing, and so the emotional aspect of like, oh man, this is so expensive is gone from him, so he's a little disconnected. I mean that might be true. That's probably the only thing you could really say about him. I mean, okay.
For myself, and my favorite YouTuber is telling me that it's too good to be true, that it's amazing. He played the beta a few months before release and says it's gonna be great. There is absolutely no precedent for being cautious about committing to a AAA game release, guys. It's gonna be fucking great. He played the beta after all.
Black Ops 6 just got worse, and so did Activision. Why is Call of Duty 6 so mediocre? Wait, this makes him look good. So he played the beta, or whatever, or the demo, or whatever, that was made to be as entertaining as possible so that content creators would play and go, wow, this is great, to get the hype up. And then it comes out, and it's like, oh, this kind of sucks. They actually didn't have a great pathway after that. But he's still talking about it in a negative light, you know, so I don't understand the problem. Does this really matter? Is this really like that big of an issue?
Well, color me surprised and call me a diversity hire because I did not see that one coming. You know, some people like to call me conspiratorial, and I get that.
Do people know you well enough to call you conspiratorial, or?
But can you really sit there and tell me with a straight face that the guy who had made a video talking about the decline in AAA gaming quality didn't know that it was retarded to join the hype for the running stereotype of modern AAA gaming that is Call of Duty? No.
Maybe he thought it would be good. I don't know. I'm not going to assume he was disingenuous. Maybe he's like, wow, this was actually really good, blah, blah, blah. They did so... if anything, it makes sense that they, like, nostalgia baited or something in the demo, or the whatever the fuck it was. And then afterwards, they weren't able to deliver. I mean, that's fine.
No, you can't. You know what happened here? The Actman, in his typical drive to join the hype and capitalize on the views, consumer advocacy be damned, he simply looked at what was popular and easy to please the regular viewer and joined in, making...
How do you know that, though? How do you know that he was grifting? That's what she's saying. He's not saying... Like, what's more likely to me is that maybe Actman played it and he thought it was good, and then it came out and it was actually shit. Why are you assuming that he was, like, grifting, though? Like, what's up with the weird assumption that, like, he's this fucking disingenuous grifting piece of dog shit? I don't understand that.
Making videos that reaffirm the biases of people who can do dick all but consume the Call of Duty content, and most likely roping people in the process who trust his views into buying a Call of Duty that he ditched the second it was socially permissible to do so.
I don't know. You seem like it seems like you're desperate to hate this guy.
You, who do not have the money he does, spent a good hard-earned chunk of it into playing the crap he went from calling awesome to disappointing in a whole 5 minutes, while he got the views for joining in on the hype and the views for trashing it later on.
Maybe. It just seems like it seems like you really want to seems like you really want to shit on this guy.
I would like to say that this is a coincidence, that this is a one-off, a coincidence that he roped you into buying the exact shit he warned against previously. But, as you are about to see with my next example and sections, it isn't a one-off. It is a part of a much, much longer-running trend. A trend fueled by a hunger for clicks and views that leads him to disregard any ethics and responsibility to just say whatever the fuck is perceived as popular and reaping the benefits while screwing the viewer he claims to give a shit about. I'm gonna do you, possible Actman viewer, a favor and say something that he never will to you. You know these betas that you can pay to get access to a few months before launch? Battlefield 2042, Black Ops...
Yeah, they're probably not worth it, but you're riding the hype.
Top 6 and so on. They're not betas. They never were. That's not how betas work. They're demos. Don't buy into them. It's
kind of the same thing. You know? That's how betas have always been. That's why they release like WoW betas to people, especially content creators. Or it's like a demo for the game. It's supposed to give you hype. But like that's what a beta is. So just to be clear, a traditional demo back in the day was like it was difficult. You take a piece of your game and you would put it out there for people to watch. Nowadays, a beta is like you're playing the game unfinished, but for a lot of it is like you're actually testing the bugs of the game. It's the same thing. You didn't really change my mind because what a demo is now has changed from being explicitly a finished game with a demo to like a mostly finished game that people have access to while they try to polish it off for the most part. I know a lot of games might release buggy and have some problems, right? But like that's okay.
A tactic using fear of missing out in order to get you to commit early on. And if it turns out poorly, well, you joined everybody in. You didn't want to be left out now, did you?
Yeah, sure, I don't care about this marketing strategy. Toughen up.
And they'll fix it because they have like 2 months or whatever the fuck to fix it and until it comes out fully. It's a tactic.
That's the point of the beta. It's actually smart to do. Hey, you want access to the beta? And help us test at the same time. That's a smart tactic. We're going to release the game to you 2 months early, but also you'll have a little bit of a lower expectation of bugs because you know that it's just a beta. It's kind of a smart tactic, and I have no real problem with it.
Tactic that every single fucking major gaming YouTuber knows about, but very few of them will actually tell you about it, because if they did, they wouldn't be able to reap the benefits.
I don't think anybody cares, and I think everybody knows what it is, what these betas are, and nobody cares. I think that you think that you're exposing something super intelligent to us. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck.
guzzling the dicks of corporations and getting the views by joining in on the hype and giving the socially permissible opinion.
Well, I mean, he's a gaming creator. Isn't he supposed to be playing the new game when it comes out?
Anyway, now that you know all of that information, settle in because this is where shit gets fast real quick. Payday 3. What to say about Payday?
All right, somebody in the chat said Payday 3 might be a better example. You guys want to give me a reason why?
3. It's shit and you should have seen it coming. You know who didn't
Yeah, there was not even an Ethan Klein skin in it.
see it coming, however? The Actman. Because as we know, even if he had the patience to do one Google search to find out that this dev studio has survived solely off of microtransactions and DLC for the last 10 years and that the
Whatever.
people who made it
Well, hold on. What's wrong with doing paid DLC? Like, I mean, frankly, I'm not... here's my thing. You know, I don't mind paid DLC. What I do mind is locking behind content that should have just been in the game behind, like, a paywall. So if you make your full game and then afterwards people are like, oh, we really like this, and you're like, oh, we have an extra story we want to tell, so we threw a DLC in there if you want to pay $10 for it, I really don't care. I don't care at all. That's just me personally. So, I mean, I guess it depends on how they did microtransactions. Like, how was it? I don't know. I didn't play Payday. How was the microtransactions?
great in the first place are gone, he would have seen it coming. And maybe he did see it coming. Maybe he did do his
he said he liked the game a lot and then it had mixed reviews. Okay.
Google searches, but he didn't obviously show that off. Why? Well, let's take a look at his video then titled Payday 3 is a certified banger where he got access to the closed beta. Why the fuck did you get invited to the beta? And where he...
Because he's a content creator.
Gives us his thoughts on it.
Payday 3 paid content creators promoted, gave them goodies through a promoter event, etc. Payday's definition of gatekeeping DLC. You would hate it, Papa. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Tough questions require tough answers. I was invited by the Payday 3 developers, Starbreeze, to go out to New York and take part in one of the coolest pre-release gaming events I've ever been to. I mean, it's only the second pre-release event I've ever been to, but it's gonna be hard to beat.
Wow, Actman.
Well, the event might have been good, so I don't really care that he said that. There should be a little bit of a warning sign there, I guess, for him to tell people.
That sounds really cool. And why the fuck did you get invited to the beta?
Probably because he's a creator.
Brought me and a bunch of other content creators to a real bank in New York, and then they all held us hostage in a mock robbery, and that was just awesome. Amazing performance. So I met up with some really cool content creators. I asked one of them if he wanted to play a robbery game. He said yes.
Wow, you know, Actman, that sounds fun. That actually sounds super fun. But really, Actman, why the fuck did you get invited to the beta?
What is the answer?
We had 2 hours to...
I hope the answer is like actually powerful.
Play Payday 3 and a new heist that wasn't available
Because he was a big Payday fan and a content creator. Was he a big Payday fan?
in the most recent beta.
Damn, dude, it sounds like they really rolled out the red carpet for you, Actman. A real grand old time, and why the fuck did you get invited to the beta?
Does he own the game? I'm so confused.
So consider this a first impressions video from someone who went into this completely blind, having never played Payday before.
And that's the red flag right there. So red that Vosh is gooning over.
Payday impressions video from someone who went into this completely blind, having never played Payday before.
Oh. What's the problem with that? You guys said that he was a big fan of it. Was he? Did he lie or something? What's the...
And that's the red flag right there. So red that Vosh is gooning over it.
Incredible.
See, I did the impossible. Basic research. Turns out that the studio that survived pretty much solely on microtransactions and DLC for the last 10 years decided to specifically not invite dedicated Payday YouTubers to the Payday dedicated event. So much so that when fans turned up thinking it was public, they recognized absolutely nobody. Instead, Payday 3 devs held events that, as far as I could tell, gathered people who specifically hadn't played Payday before or played it very little, twice, and then held them in a very controlled environment to get them to make videos on it and make sure they had their perfect experience to make content on. They did eventually have a beta you could sign up for, but that public sign-up beta was, what, a month before release, so it's all...
Okay, so that's why people are upset because he had no background in Payday. Why are we shitting on him for that though? Why would I be upset that he... Right? Like, does that make sense? Like, I'm not super concerned with it. I don't know. I'm not super concerned with it. Like that sounds like they pulled a fast one and they got people that like weren't big fans of the game to come in and plug their game because they knew that people who've known their game previously would have shit on them. That sounds more like a shitty strategy from Payday more than for him, no?
Almost like they were trying to hide something, you know? Almost like they
Maybe they were. I mean, maybe Actman just wasn't suspicious of that.
knew it would take far, far longer for these YouTubers to make their videos than the people who would get access to that public sign-up beta. Almost like it would cause an effect of people first complaining and then having a bunch of popular YouTubers saying it's actually awesome. It's almost like they were specifically trying to delay people figuring out that the game wasn't exactly in line with expectations by preventing the very people who would notice these things from actually participating and getting the spotlight, of course. Because who cares if these small YouTubers are all complaining about these big issues in the game? Because really big YouTubers who you should trust more than smaller YouTubers, just look at their subscriber count, are all making videos in September saying how good the game is. There is a term for this, by the way. It's called audience manipulation. Call me conspiratorial if you want, but yeah, no, when they announce the game is going to be always online, a very unpopular thing, then beta bunch
Yeah, right, because the single player experience can potentially be shut down.
a big viewer base retards into
Whoa,
falling
bad guy.
meticulously crafted versions of the game, thus drowning out negative discourse all right before release. I can't help but maybe, just maybe, be suspicious over this entire thing.
Actman accepted the offer. He's a sellout because of it. Is he? I don't. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like a particularly thrilling argument to me. I don't think I care that much about this specifically. I don't think I care too much about somebody who's never played a game before getting invited to the beta of a game because they thought it was a cool event. But it turned out that the people who made Payday, they were trying to maybe be deceptive by not inviting any actual Payday enjoyers. Or maybe there's just no big people who like Payday that were invited because they're, I don't know. Like, is there somebody that was a big creator that, or is there a list of different people that could have been invited that were critical of Payday and they intentionally, didn't invite them? Or okay, I don't think this is on Actman regardless, but okay.
To the surprise of anyone with the basic capability of
He's already addressed the Payday controversy. It seems like it's a year old.
pattern recognition,
The promoter event featured Payday creators. Oh, then what the fuck's this guy talking about? He said there was no Payday creators. What the fuck?
something present in fucking birds but not in a lot of modern consumers, Payday 3 turned out to be shit. A game that
wait,
did
is
not
it?
function on release. A cooperative game that didn't let people cooperate because it didn't have fucking voice chat for over a year after launch. A game
That's crazy. I mean, I guess I'll have to take your word for it. I mean, that seems to be true. It's a co-op game and it didn't release with voice chat, so it sounds like it was a mess. I wonder how they got around it at the gamer event. What if they just use like Discord or something?
game that was so watered down and functioned more like a late-stage alpha than a full release. A deceptive pile of shit that many people bought into because of retards like the Actman, who published a video gobbling the balls of this game 2 days before release.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing is Actman kind of got bamboozled by the creators of Payday to plug their game by them using the kind of deceptive tactics to hide like the shittiness of the game. I don't think I put that on Actman. I think I put that on the game devs.
Making no effort to ask.
Yeah, I figured the Payday 3 problems were really only noticed after the beta. I would imagine that makes sense to me. Like if I was trying to be a deceptive fuck and plug the game as the makers of the game, I would have the event and I would make sure I could plug the holes of the bullshit that was like missing. So I would have like some kind of different voice chat running or something, or I would make sure I hid the bugs. It seems to be based on the presentation of the information and what you guys are telling me, that there was a potential effort from the Payday team to kind of deceptively plug their game. So I'm sure that's true. Okay. But I don't think that necessarily falls onto Actman, some dude who just wants to play fucking games and got invited to an event that he thought it was cool.
why this studio, belonging to an already money-hungry publisher, was treating them the way they were, or even fucking mentioning the controversy surrounding this game. He didn't even do the basic effort of maybe playing the game that came before it just to actually be somewhat informed on Payday before going into this fucking heavily curated event about Payday 3. You know, the bare fucking minimum. So, you might
I guess. Okay, maybe.
be wondering, did the
I guess he could have done more. Hey, do better, Actman.
man question any of the things I just
I don't think I would have made a video about it personally. It doesn't seem like that big of a fucking deal.
mentioned? Did he issue a
But I guess gamers are fucking crazy. They do be loving games.
retraction on his gigantic shilling session over this game? Did he make a follow-up at least pretending to give a shit over the fact that he did the bidding of the corporate hacks he pretends to dislike? No, he just changed one word in the video title but kept the thumbnail and description. He did eventually pin a comment in the comment section of that video, but that was only after people wrote
Okay. Let's update. Game was broken on release and maybe still is. I did not experience the online servers when making the video, which is why I didn't bring those up and why this is an early impression. Video Payday 3. Would not recommend buying this game. Buying until the game gets better. We'll see what happens in a year or two. So gonna play Payday 2. Or so go and play Payday 2. I don't want to wear makeup because okay. I mean, I guess you could argue that he could have done more to tell people not to buy the game yet by changing the title or something.
roasted him over it. Still, he excuses it by saying, maybe in a year or two it'll be better.
Maybe that seems to be how it is sometimes. They fucking take forever to. They release a game that's kind of buggy and shitty, and then they fix it eventually, right?
Yeah, I'm
I
fucking
mean, that's not a good practice to engage in, but
sure of it. Just excuse the bad practices by saying it'll be better in a year or two. Or
Well, I don't think he said it would be. I think he said you maybe try buying it in a year or two.
how about the whole Assassin's Creed Shadows shit? You know, Assassin's Creed Shadows, we've talked about this on
Another Assassin. I just would stay away from the Assassin's Creed franchise at a certain point when it's like the 7th game.
the channel. A shit, barely functioning game is so driven by diversity and inclusivity and woke ideology that it was almost fucking banned in the country it was set in. A game made by a company infamous for its greed, lack of creativity, and ideological pandering, AC Shadows really was something special. For people who wanted to make videos clowning on Ubisoft, that is.
Are your mother and father still together?
No.
Really,
I don't know, man. I feel like once you're referencing Gypsy Crusader, somebody who's like a legitimate like white supremacist and a fucking racist, I'm probably not going to care too much about what you have to say anymore.
anyone with a brain could see this one coming from 1.5 miles away, but remember, a good part of the controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows was linked to ideology. So what does our favorite
Was the game bad, or was it just too woke or something?
acting centrist, Mr. I defend
What's made the game too woke? What are the going complaints?
consumers here say? What does the guy who wants gamers to be listened to more often do? He pretends to dislike ideological debates being had within gaming by defending the corporation pushing ideological debates within gaming.
Here's a fun one. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been the best-selling video game in the US for each of its first 3 weeks in market, according to whatever, blah, blah, blah. Current ranks. Okay, I don't care about that. What is this?
Because of fucking course he does.
Why is it woke?
Leave the multi-million-dollar company alone, how dare you?
Oh, because there's a black samurai who served the real-life historical figure, Oda Nobunaga or something. I don't know. Was that Nobunga? Well, I can't say that. That sounds racist. Anyway, there's a black guy in it. You play as a black guy in Japan. Is that literally it? There's a gay relationship and you play a black guy in Japan. Okay, was the game bad, or was it just have a gay black guy in it? Why the fuck do I care? Okay, so was the game bad, or was it just a black gay guy? And there was a woman as a main character. Why the fuck do I care?
You. Now, some will try to argue that he didn't explicitly defend Ubisoft.
He's a real character, probably. Would they just exaggerate him like they do in every other piece of media, where they take a character and they're like, oh, let's use this as a base and exaggerate the character and their input or like whatever. Okay.
But come on now, when you're making posts like this, trying to show how successful you think Assassin's Creed Shadows was...
Well, was it successful? Like, what are the reviews on the game now? Is it just... If everybody's just crying that there's a black guy, I don't care. If the story sucks, that's fine. If the gameplay sucks, that's fine, but... It was a mid-game at best. I mean, that's what I would expect from, like, the 10th Assassin's Creed, so...
and using it to brag to people who were hoping it would fail, well, you're a shill. You're just a fucking shill. Just fucking admit it. You're
I think that you guys care too much about wokeness in games. Just don't play the fucking game. Stop crying.
a fucking shill. The Act Man really is just a fucking shill, even if he realizes it or not. He's
I don't know. This guy seems to. I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
egotistical.
I don't know. This guy. I'm saying I don't know a lot because this guy referenced Gypsy Crusader, who also hates Jews, and like shill is kind of like a, there could be a little dog whistly there.
Low effort shill wearing the mask of a consumer advocate. You could
I think he's actually trying to call somebody. Maybe I'm too terminally online brain.
even call him a. Yeah, you knew this segment.
Call him a what?
Advocate. You could even call him a.
Act disingenuous. Okay.
Yeah, you knew this segment was gonna be in here, didn't you? I could turn this segment into a standalone video, but I'm not going to. This segment, much to my chagrin, already has most of its foundation set thanks to the previous ones. There's
Maybe I'm too woke-brained on that stuff. I don't know, but I just feel like this doesn't matter.
just one thing that's missing. Are you aware of his hot take series? Basically, it's a series where he takes outrageous statements people make about a given subject and laughs at them. Typically, this is an easy thing to get right, and his other hot takes videos work well enough. I personally have no issue with most of them and even appreciate
Why do you watch this guy so much if you're not a fan? I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do that too with some people, so I don't know.
them. But what happens when you take an ideologically compromised grifter that just parrots what he perceives to be popular?
Well, that you haven't really established to us. If anything, you've established to us that he might be a slightly disconnected, because he's rich now, naive gamer. I think that's all that you've really communicated to me, at least. I don't really think he's a grifter shill.
And shove him into a discussions on pronouns being an option in Bethesda's game Starfield.
Yeah, who cares?
Now, Starfield needs no introduction, and my
I mean, my understanding is the game wasn't that bad. People just cried about there being pronouns in it, and that's really cringe.
thoughts on Starfield aren't relevant to the conversation.
Well, I think that they are, because I think that we need to know what your thoughts are on it, because your thoughts are going to dictate, like, if you hated it because there were pronouns in it or something, that's probably good information I have.
All you need to know is that Starfield is a Bethesda game, and Bethesda games, whether you love them or not, have been getting progressively dumbed down over the past
I don't know, I heard Bethesda games are usually pretty decent comparatively.
20 years to appeal or to try
He's one of the fans of Actman that started watching him during the anti-SJW era and thought he was an anti-woke gamer when he just added anti- oh, maybe, that might be true.
to appeal to bigger audiences. In other words, the more recent the Bethesda game, the more
It's so weird. Like, they're complaining that they tried to make the game more appealing to more people. Okay, maybe. Great. You just don't... Do you not feel special enough because they didn't make the game just for you? It just sounds kind of like a... You're kind of like crying over nothing.
more simplified it is over whatever Bethesda game
Was Starfield also bad? Oh, okay.
came before it.
Maybe it was. I don't think the pronouns thing really matters.
This, in case you aren't aware, is a bit of a problem when Bethesda's games are franchises and genres that specifically do not benefit from simplification. They are, in fact, genres and franchises that benefit from complexity. See Fallout New Vegas for reference. Moreover, Bethesda's games have a nasty habit of chasing
Starfield Steam score is at 69%. Whoa, epic gamer number. It seems like it was mediocre, like most games are. Who gives a shit?
trends and just doing whatever they think is popular, but being so low effort that this practice only highlights the deficiencies with their games.
Okay. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. What is the standard that people accept when it comes to a game? Like, if a game isn't completely, like, outstanding, they melt down. I mean, I guess it makes sense. If it's a AAA game, it should be outstanding. I suppose it makes sense that they'd want a really good experience. All right.
See the Operation Anchorage DLC or the entirety of Fallout 76 for reference on that. Now that you know all of this, what do you think the inclusions of pronouns in Starfield was actually for?
So that gay people or trans people could feel kind of comfortable. That's it. I don't care.
Was it because the game was that expansive and complex that the pronouns really did play a crucial role in it? Or was it to pander to modern audiences and include something that has absolutely no meaning in the game itself?
I think that you're a fucking child if you care about pronouns in a fucking video game. I don't care. You know what? I think that it's pretty obvious to me that a lot of these businesses don't care about gay people, specifically, especially like Target, who used to have like a big pride section that they took down this year because it wasn't like fucking financially viable. I think that's pathetic. I think it's cowardice. You know, you should stand on your shit if you're going to advocate for Pride Month or whatever. But also, I don't care that a game said that you can be non-binary or whatever to try to be a little more inclusive to some fucking gay or trans people that are playing their games, because it has no negative impact on non-gay or trans people. I don't care that you could be a they or a them in the game. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just not going to be a they, them in the game. I mean, I'm already playing fucking Kingdom Hearts where you play as a weird little fucking femboy. You think I'm really that concerned about pronouns in a video game? It's just, who cares? If you're getting triggered because they want to include some fucking trans people, I think you're just so cringe. It's so pathetic. Like, get over yourself. Just don't choose the option. Why are you so concerned that maybe some people who play the game could feel better about themselves? Just childish, dude. Like, holy fuck.
Well, it really is a Bethesda-style choice, because whichever answer you gave is irrelevant. At least to the Actman, that is, because he doesn't give a shit about any of that.
Good.
He decided to completely ignore this entire conversation and just make fun of Az from HeelvsBabyface for sounding too angry when he ranted about the subject.
Well, yeah, because he's a fucking loser. Heel, like the Heel versus Babyface is a fucking loser. Like, he's a fucking pathetic asshole.
This actually pisses me off.
Why?
Was made.
Why does this piss you off? Why are you so triggered over pronouns? You're worse than an actual fucking trans person. It makes me so angry. I'm so triggered. Your life has to be super fucking easy if this triggers you.
Fun of and effectively turned into an internet meme just because of this by people who completely ignored the very simple point he was making. It really
He wasn't making a point.
goes to show that people,
If anything, it makes sense that in a game about different space that there would be a multitude of genders. No, I don't know.
don't give a shit about the content of what you're saying and only care about how you say it.
So was the game like really bad and Actman said it was really good because of pronouns or something? What's his actual criticism? Maybe the game sucks, but who gives a fuck about the pronoun option? Nobody criticizes that, like, World of Warcraft I think it's classic WoW now, but literally doesn't even make you pick boy or girl anymore. They make you pick body type 1 or 2. Like, nobody's ever complained about that. Nobody fucking cares about this.
I legitimately believe that I could walk up to a random person nowadays and tell them to kill themselves in the
Wow,
nicest
that's so
way
sad,
possible.
dude.
And so long as I kept a cool head and said it in a very approachable and moderate way, I think that they would probably do it. That's the only way I can.
Have you gone outside before? I feel like you're not an outside cat. I feel like you're an inside cat. Okay? I don't know. If you go outside, what do you do with yourself?
Explain how it was that so many people just didn't get the point of what Az was saying. More likely they.
Do you think Ghost of Tsushima would be worse game with a minority main character? I think Ghost of Tsushima isn't Assassin's Creed. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Apparently they're making the next one Ghost of Yotoi or whatever, a girl. I don't fucking care. They wanted to make a Black Samurai game. I don't care. Black people are like the #1 enjoyers of anime. Why the fuck would I give a shit about that?
They never watched it when we're just joining in on the fucking hate trend because they were bored. Among them,
Okay.
and particularly at fault for turning it into a much bigger thing than it had any right to be, was the Actman. Because on
Whoa,
top of
the
being a disingenuous
Actman.
prick, I'll get to that, the Actman effectively
You've claimed he's disingenuous so many times before, and so far you are not selling me on it, brother. You're not selling me, brother.
used the guy he knew wasn't ill-intentioned multiple times for
He
that.
knew he wasn't ill-intentioned. Dude, he bullied the guy. Guys, he was heel versus Babyface was really well-intentioned when he was melting down about pronouns in a fucking video game.
That sweet
Like, not for nothing, but people like Heel versus Babyface who melt down about pronouns in a game because they include them are just as cringe as people who melt down about pronouns in a game because they don't include them. Like, whether you decide to or not, it's the game, it's their decision to do, and I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. If you want to add it in there to make people feel more included, great. It doesn't make me feel excluded. So I don't care. Why do you care? Why are you so fucking worked up over this? It really does not matter.
Social media engagement and those lovely views that he loves to get on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I hate views on my fucking YouTube channel, dude. I fucking hate it so much.
Completely ignored what Az was saying, picked up the popular talking points off of social media and jumped on the hate wagon against him because that was something he could get views from. And the
Okay, so I understand this video now. This video is basically, I'm really upset because some fat fucking bald guy, that's not me, had a meltdown about pronouns existing in an alien game. And I like that guy a lot. So Actman is a disingenuous person. Have you guys ever thought, it's so funny because like there are so many different like cringe people on the internet that are both like left-leaning, right-leaning, whatever. And it's funny to make fun of them. We make fun of them on both sides here because they're funny when they complain about dumb bullshit that's so fucking irrelevant it doesn't matter. And so we like to make fun of them because it's silly. This is an anti-woke fucking crybaby bitch boy loser that people that made fun of him for melting down about fucking pronouns. And that's about it. It was funny. That's pretty much all it is.
The way in which he completely...
Hey, thank you, Barbecue. Yeah, we got 80K.
He brushed Az aside just to make fun of him. The way in which he completely disregarded all of his arguments was something so fucking stupid that I still can't believe a guy who allegedly spends dozens of hours making a single video can even in any way come up with. It still boggles the mind as to how he could actually include this stupid fucking point in his video. Just take a look at this.
Okay, so this is what normal people see when a game gives them an option to select their gender or sex or pronouns. And this is what Captain Sexual Assault sees.
Did he actually sexual assault somebody?
Kill yourself now. Kill yourself now. If you're looking for nothing, kill yourself now. Kill yourself now.
Fuck Bethesda and fuck the political radical weirdos in the Western gaming industry. Staining it with ideological clown world bullshit. What's it first and foremost?
Okay. I don't understand what's the... His point's not wrong, so I don't care.
Let's make an escape from it. Back to Skyrim. What? You're going back to Skyrim? That woke leftist nonsense that forces you to pick a race at the start? God, what a fucking libtard, man. This guy is so woke. You see how easy it is to turn your grist against you? You see how easy it is to imitate it? I don't like ideology in my games. Now let me go back to the video game that has themes of imperialism in it.
Laws and labor structures tight. Memories of...
They've sent me a moron.
Oh, goddammit, fuck it.
I don't understand what's the problem. Other than maybe that was like a little bit of a cringe way that he represented it. What's the issue with what he said? I don't understand.
Jesus Christ. Yes, he simply saw what some obnoxiously loud retards were saying on the internet and parroted the argument verbatim that
What?
this is no different from being asked if you're a boy or a girl in old video games.
I don't think that that's the point he was making. I think the point that he was making is... Okay, so let me just be like real. I know that's not the point he was making. The point he was making is that most people just don't choose the one that they don't feel represents them and they move on. That's it. That's the only point that he was making. That's it. And you turned it into like something weird. He's not just saying that's it. He was saying most people just don't care and they just pick their fucking gender and they move on and they don't give a fuck. And people like, fucking HeelvsBabyface decides to have a fucking performative meltdown about it. That's the point that he's making.
By the way, Actman, that comparison is just so slightly disingenuous because Skyrim is a fantasy game where a lot of races exist. Pronouns and Starfield are literally only a factor with your character and no other character in the game.
I don't even know what to say to that point. Starfield is about a bunch of different planets, right? You don't think that there might be other planets? You know what? I don't even want to engage with this because this is one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever heard. What? What? Who cares? It's a fucking game about a billion planets or something. Who fucking cares? This is stupid. On our planet, we have like non-binary people or whatever. Just think it's cringe and move on. You don't have to have a fucking meltdown about it where you make a video.
You know what? Let's all hold hands and help the Actman to figure out the problem with this one in an age-appropriate way, shall we? Alright.
No, it's gonna be boring and overly angry. I don't know why this guy's so triggered.
Right, let's see. One. Oh, this is really hard. Okay, one. Two. Okay, that's two options I have here in Pokemon. Okay. Now let's look at Starfield. All right.
And he told me.
I am counting. 1, 2,
Whoa.
3.
There's nothing scarier to the unemployed than the existence of pronouns for 15-year-olds. Who cares, dude? Who gives a fuck that there's pronouns in games? I don't care.
Thank you very
Or, excuse me, who cares if there's an alternative pronoun in the game? I don't care.
much.
Oh, all right. I see. These are
Dude, holy
these
fuck.
are two different numbers. 2 is a different number than 3. I wonder if there's something more to this topic that he might just be completely fucking missing out on. The Act Man started to feel a little heat following this entire controversy
Yeah, because you guys are fucking crybabies, that's why.
because he did unfairly target as instead of, sticking to the point. So
He did unfairly target a guy crying about a third pronoun option in a game. Wow. We definitely need to protect these very sensitive people in society that care this much about pronouns.
as called the Act
The only people who care more about pronouns than trans people are crybaby conservatives that get upset by the existence of them, huh? It's crazy.
Man out for his disingenuous representation of him and started to point out the fact that the Act Man was saying one thing and doing another. People started to realize that,
How is he doing one thing? What?
hey, maybe the Act Man is just being a shill for views and grifting, acting
Maybe he's grifting because he doesn't think pronouns are important to cry about? Okay.
like a disingenuous prick all the way. So this fucking the Act Man, this fuck.
I hope that this kid gets the therapy appointment for him getting molested by this HeelvsBabyface guy. This is clearly a child, and this guy, he's got this guy's fucking dick like 10 fucking feet up his asshole right now. It's very strange.
Fucking decided that in order to save his skin and seem like the adult in the room, he decided, and I can't believe he actually did this, he decided that the best way to address this controversy and seem like the adult in the room was to leak the DMs he had with Az prior to his
Okay.
Starfield hot takes video coming out, and these DMs showed that he was claiming to want to talk and to have dialogue, but that he had already finished the video and couldn't do anything about it because he says, as he says, he works 35 to 40 hours on a video.
Why did you post the video? There's a few reasons. Number one, this Twitter exchange took place over a week, and I had no indication until I finished the video that Az was down to talk to me. This is pretty bad timing. I just spent 30, 35, 40 hours on a video. What am I gonna do? Just scrap it?
And this guy,
I mean, that's a good point. I don't understand. That's good point. Okay. Oh, so he spent a whole fucking 30 hours making a video and he didn't delete it because of the crybaby pronouns guy. Why the fuck do I care that somebody, like, yeah, I would have posted it too. I'm not gonna waste my fucking time.
This fucking guy is so unfathomably retarded that he didn't realize this massive issue. He didn't realize that he was basically admitting to this in this
What's the massive issue, by the way?
fucking copium of a video.
That the guy wanted to talk after he finished making his video, but before he released it, and Actman decided to release the video making fun of him anyway? Why do I care?
That he put out attempting to seem like the bigger guy in the situation. He knows that a lot of his viewers don't actually pay close attention to what he says. He knows that a lot of his viewers don't actually really dig deep into the words he is fucking regurgitating at them. So he didn't even think twice about it. So he simply reveled in the views and in the engagement. But you know what? There is something about this that a lot of fucking people didn't catch on to, and that I'm actually surprised a lot of people didn't talk about. That further prove how unfathomable disingenuous this guy is. But did you notice what he said there about spending 30, 35, 40 hours making a video? Well, two things there. For one, I don't fucking believe you. But assuming...
I mean, maybe. I guess it depends on the video, how much editing he has to put into it, or maybe it spends 30 hours, maybe somebody else spends 30 hours on it and he has to pay them. So, I mean, okay, I don't care. You put effort into the video.
That you did spend 30, 35, 40 hours, as you say, making the video, you cannot reasonably expect anyone to think that you would have to spend another 30, 35, 40 hours remaking the video just by removing the absolute disingenuous shitpile you threw towards Az. Moreover,
Nothing is disingenuous. The guy was having a meltdown about pronouns. There was no greater point there. His greater point might have been, it's cringe because of pronouns. He might have also had other points, but there was no greater point. There was no relevant point to him complaining about pronouns other than he wants to complain about pronouns because he thinks things are too woke, and that's his grift. They don't fucking care.
Is that 30, 35, 40 hour thing a standard of yours? Do you usually spend 30, 35,
maybe.
40 hours making videos? Because a lot of your fucking videos is just you reading comments, or you mostly reading comments off of the internet
Was that one?
with humor and commentary that anyone could come up with by simply scrolling down their social media page.
So do it yourself.
I mean, just look at his recent video, The Never-Ending Decline of Bungie, which is basically just him reading his social media feed for the entire video. 90% of this fucking video is him simply reading Twitter posts talking about the fact that Bungie has a history of plagiarizing content from other people on the internet, such as art styles. In fact, remember the examples of the videos that I brought up throughout this entire fucking video? Well, I'm gonna tell you a secret pattern that I've been keeping, just for the people that pay attention. The videos I picked from the Act Man to make this video weren't selected at random, actually. They were selected because all of them are videos that resort to one of three things, or a combination of all three. Those being commentary videos in line with unscripted or bullet-pointed first impressions, commentary with about as much depth as reading a few short statements on social media, or outright reading a bunch of posts on social media and then intersecting all of them with a few moments where he pretends to actually have scripted something and not just be reading it. I think that little tidbit of information...
So he probably, maybe on that video, didn't spend 40 hours? That's probably true. Okay. You shouldn't have said that, I guess, if it's not true. I don't care if it was 5 hours of work. I would have just still posted it. I don't give a fuck. Also, who cares?
...there was only there to try to protect himself.
Some fucking grown-ass man cried about pronouns in a game, so he decided to make fun of him and call him cringe. Like, okay, cool beans, man. That's funny. Good. Make fun of, bully people who are that fucking, that cry about that kind of shit. Like, I don't like sensitive people, regardless of what side you're on. So, heel versus a babyface is a fucking loser. Who cares?
...to try to come up with the excuse...
Yeah, you gotta go to Hollow Bastion, I know. Am I not in Hollow Bastion? Oh, I gotta leave through the save point. Okay.
...as to why he simply couldn't go back on it. A little lie in order to save his skin and to seem like he was just backed into a corner and there was nothing he could do about it. And you know what? Instead of just calling him a whole host of names, I think the most appropriate way to refer to the Act Man is by calling him what he truly is.
You're gonna call him the Arsler? Oh, Act Ma'am. Ha, so funny.
When he's not recording, I don't doubt that the
Jokes aren't dead, boys. We called him Act Ma'am.
Act Ma'am is not a terrible person when it comes to actually, being a fucking person. I have no reason to believe he is a bad person in general, nor do I make the assertion that he is overall. But what is absolutely fucking unquestionable about the Act Ma'am is that this person is so unbelievably focused on being the centrist, appealing to everybody, being the cool guy, that he has fallen down a cliff where he has unironically become a shill, a grifter, and a liar, who changes his personality depending on whatever controversy he's involved in at the time, or what he perceives to be more convenient for him in his quest to get himself views. I get wanting more views on...
I mean, I don't think you've really showed that. Actman just seems to be maybe a content creator who doesn't go super in-depth and he just plays games. Doesn't really seem that deep to me, but maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. Yeah, these are the same people who have an absolute fucking meltdown when they... Or they'll fucking start jacking off when they see a weird lib having a meltdown. That trans person in the beginning of the game... in the beginning of the video, that was like, it's ma'am, has the exact same like energy as the heel versus babyface person. Like, they're the same person, basically. They even look similar. But that's pretty, it's effectively the same energy, except, one of them is cringe, but one of them is like really cool and is amazing and meant super well. It's like, okay.
YouTube, I get.
I mean, I guess either way, regardless of which one you decide to simp for, you're staking a dick down your throat. So I guess this guy is just rather a guy's dick than, well, I don't know, maybe a different beautiful woman's dick. I don't know. Not super passable. I guess there's still a woman though. God bless him. So, you know what? God bless him. God bless him, guys. God bless her. Okay?
Hearing your content around mass appeal, really, I do. But at least
I don't want to be too transphobic or anything. I'm not trying to be. I'm just being a little playful. Also, though, I do think that person was very male presenting, so I can understand why somebody might get a little confused, right? You know, even if they meant well.
Be fucking straightforward about it. At least say that, yes, I'm just trying to appeal to as many people as possible. But the Actmam doesn't do that. The Actmam simply sticks to trying to be as fucking milquetoast as possible.
Maybe, like, you guys ever think that maybe anti-wokers are super fucking annoying, and so, like, maybe he's saying these things to not have you in his audience, because you guys are fucking weirdos. Like, the anti-woke crew is just fucking insanely fucking annoying. Like, I would not want them in my audience. They're just annoying as shit, and they cry. They cry. They're the first people to cry about shit. They were the first people to cry on my Instagram audience because I made a lot of edgy jokes on there. The second that I was like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Trump, and they would just start like literally fucking frothing. They have their most sensitive people in the fucking world. They're just, well, really, they're just as sensitive as online lefties. That's it. They're all obnoxious.
Trying to be as centrist as possible. And has developed a fucking ego that reaches the peak of Mount Everest, because at this point, he maybe just can't see how stupid he fucking is. But I believe he does actually realize it. He does actually know exactly what he's doing, and he has a massive impact that just screws over the very viewers he seems to care about. And I say seems to care about because
pronouns aren't that deep.
Because that's just what he claimed. He doesn't stand up for what he believes in. He never did. All he does is shift whatever he has to say whenever it's fucking convenient in order to appear as approachable as possible, all the while screwing you over. A sign of the rot that has taken over a lot of YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers who used to be creative, fun, or at least honest about what they believed in.
But now they think trans people are okay.
No matter how stupid it was. Very rarely is it possible to detect a hint of honesty with the Actman, because it constantly fucking changes. And in case you haven't realized, that is why people call him the Actman, because he's a mam, a cuck that—
I don't think anybody calls him that. I think you call him that and you really want it to stick.
Bends over to the whims of the fucking YouTube algorithm or whatever the fuck he thinks is gonna get him more engagement on Twitter. Because above all things, what matters—
I mean, if he was grifting, it's easier to grift on Twitter, so as like anti-woke idiots, so.
Is people singing his fucking praises than actually having standards for one. Fuck longevity and long-term implications of the actions he takes. Fuck him, just fuck him wholeheartedly. And fuck the consequences of his actions that people like you have to put up with, because he has the money to deal with it and he can simply switch opinions whenever it's convenient, while you now have to put up with having spent money on
Oh, Andy Pants called him that? Oh, okay, another loser.
Shitty products, corporations being validated because big YouTubers simply agreed with them and simply did their bidding, and on top of that, you are unable to have a simple conversation in whatever form you think is most adequate, because grifters like the Actman will come along and completely hijack it just for the sake of easy clicks, views, engagement, and ratioing people on Twitter. And you can't dare to call them out because they'll just repeat the cycle once again and people will start—
Damn, I guess conservatives are getting upset that their strategy of just like low effort clickbait, you know, bullshit is getting used by the left now.
Start saying that he's on a fucking redemption arc, only to be surprised when the cycle repeats yet again and we go further down the depths of being unable to be coherent as a fucking community that just wants to play video games. Big YouTubers are not—
So basically this video was, hey, do you guys remember last year when he made a mistake about Payday 3? Yeah, well, he also said pronouns are not fucking cringe. So this Actman guy basically is a fucking loser. That's the whole video. That's literally it.
Your friends. I might be giving you a lot of good advice here, but I am not your friend in the colloquial sense. If you would like me to be, join my Discord server. Their audiences are simply way too big to actually give a shit about anyone in particular. And
whoa, crazy.
There comes the point, no matter how well-intentioned a YouTuber might be, that a disconnect is created between them and their fan base. And while I am—
What, like, you keep saying that a disconnect is existing between him and his fan base, but then you say that he's having certain opinions to broaden his fan base. So, like, your arguments don't even make sense. You can't have both opinions. He's disconnected from his fan base. He says things to have a bigger fan base. Well, which one is it? Wouldn't he be really connected to what his viewers would want? If he's saying what they want to you think they want to hear, like, that's your argument. None of this makes sense.
I am not saying that there aren't any good YouTubers out there who actually give a shit about the people they are making videos for. For whatever reason they might be doing so, such as hobby or job. One thing that you have to learn to do is to disconnect yourself from YouTubers that simply don't represent what your interests are. I actually care about my viewers, but I am not the arbiter of truth.
You don't have viewers. I'm not trying to be that guy, but you don't really have viewers. Like, there are people who watch this guy. You know, he seems to kind of just complain about anti-woke, complaining about video games and just kind of complaining. You have some people who watch you, but you don't really have like regular viewers. You're not really established well enough. You've never been in any controversy because nobody cares about you enough. Like, that's what it is. Nobody cares about you enough to criticize you. So I criticize big creators, I think that's great, but like a lot of small creators don't get criticisms because nobody knows who they are or cares about who they are, and so they don't get held to task on anything because nobody gives a fuck or knows who they are, and then they act like super morally righteous when other people make mistakes, when they've never been in controversy themselves, because again, nobody knows who you are or cares about you. So like, yeah, it seems like there's some criticism from the Act Man, but nothing that's like so out of the fucking water destructive. It doesn't really matter that much.
There, you have to make that conclusion by yourself. And as a former viewer and subscriber of the Act Man, I have come to my conclusion, and my conclusion is that this guy is not worth my time, is not worth your time, and while you might agree with what he says now, know that every single sign is there showing that he's just saying it in order to seem more approachable to you, aka the people he has lost the attention of, by simply saying the shit that is convenient for him at the time in order to fill his own pockets. Why do you think that his Halo show review applies exactly almost word for word to his Fallout show review, but he hates one and likes the other? You should be able to
I don't know. I mean, Fallout was a good show, so maybe that's why.
To figure out by yourself why.
Or it's because he's a shill or something, right?
He does that by now. Stop giving people like this clicks, stop giving him attention, and stop taking anything he says seriously.
I definitely agree with those things, but about you, brother.
And dear Actman, have some fucking integrity for once and stop polluting the gaming community with your shit and admit when you are wrong instead of simply turning around and switching whatever makeup you have at the moment. Because
it doesn't even seem like he did that. You showed us an example of him like getting something like... You showed one example of him changing his perspective after a game release because he just had access to like the beta, and then the other example you showed us was him playing a game at a creator event where the game was good because it was curated to them in a certain way, and then he changed his mind later because he was like, "Oh wait, the game sucks on release. I'm so sorry." Like that's it. There's nothing. You didn't show anything.
Because a whore might dress differently on a daily basis, but it's still a whore at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Probably not. Okay. Cool stuff, man. Great job.